Hi, Matt Blom here, and I've just finished watching the first episode of Penny Dreadful in Season 3, and I thought I'd put together a review of that first episode and my thoughts. So just a quick warning that this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't watched the first episode yet, please do so before you watch this. What a fantastic beginning to the new season of Penny Dreadful. In general, the characters are so well written, some are stronger than others, and I believe this is due to both the acting skills of different actors and also the writing of the different parts. However, they all gel together nicely in a sort of Victorian patchwork quilt with industrial stains of mechanical wonder and chemical burns of an experimental age. Mixing all the fictitious, or not, elements of that era in a cauldron together was a stroke of genius. And during the first two seasons I was always thinking to myself that they had been missing some of the classic legendary figures very prominent in this time period. At first I thought this was because they didn't want to include the already overdone characters, with just hints of them in previous seasons with satellite roles bearing names found in the classic written words of the original books. And then in Season 3 they introduced the main two I was thinking about all along, giving me goosebumps in the process. If you haven't already guessed, the two I'm talking about are Dr. Jekyll and Dracula. Whilst feeling an overwhelming sense of excitement from the inclusion of these characters, I also feel slightly saddened. As we're bringing these two into the storyline, I am left wondering where there is to go as far as further seasons are concerned. Who else could they write into the story? What dark characters are left to use? Whilst not being overly dark or blatantly evil in themselves, Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty are two that could be used. Plus of course Sweeney Todd the Demon Barber of Fleet Street is also likely to be used. Only time will tell. Anyway, I'm straying from the main topic here, and that is the first episode of Penny Dreadful in Season 3. Starting at the beginning of the episode, we are shown a very downtrodden, dirty and obviously reaching the limits of sanity Vanessa Ives, played by Eva Green. Eva Green was the perfect actress to have cast into this role. Eva can play benevolence, malevolence, beauty, insanity, morality, sinful, seductive and alluring. She uses these strong acting skills for the complex and very well written role of Vanessa Ives. Eva also carries this out to an amazing effect, and I honestly think there is no one better for the role, currently acting at this time. Her natural complexion lends itself to each of her multiple facets, multiple character traits, difficult light and dark situations, but seemingly morally correct choices. She just works so very well with the imagined character, and I wonder whether the role was written specifically with Eva Green in mind. Miss Ives has let her surroundings deteriorate, with dust sheets covering the furniture, dirty plates and full ashtrays laying around. This, coupled with the cobwebs and foreboding music in the first scene, helps to portray the depressed, sullen, afraid but almost feral Vanessa. You can almost smell the squalor. In this initial scene, another familiar face makes a reappearance in the form of Ferdinand Lyle, played by Simon Russell Beale. This well-represented character brings a sort of 21st century spin on a Victorian diva with his dyed hair and elaborate persona, almost adding a touch of comedy to the proceedings. Lyle speaks of Alfred Lord Tennyson's death, a British poet, then recites some of his work to Vanessa. This also confirms the episode's title. Lyle explains Vanessa should visit a counsellor he himself had seen in the past for help. The episode continues with a change of location, and the increased budget for this season becomes apparent with a train speeding its way through New Mexico in America. On the train, Bartholomew Rusk, played by Douglas Hodge, is escorting Ethan Chandler, played superbly by Josh Hartnett, back to the American authorities under the extradition order we found out about in the last episode of Season 2. Much action occurs on the train, and a new character is introduced, a mysterious but well-kept lady. Ethan is abducted by what appears to be outlaws, and the action contains much bloody violence with many gruesome shots to the head. The scene is very enjoyable and has a real quality to the action more suited to a feature film. Top-notch stuff. Josh Hartnett was also very well cast as the American Wolfman, and I look forward to his continued story. We then get taken to Africa and what appeared to be Antarctica, bringing back Sir Malcolm Murray and Frankenstein's creature John Clare respectively. The Zanzibar scene also introduces another face in the form of a Native American, Kaetane, played by Wes Studi, who appears to be a new ally of Sir Murray's and is concerned for Ethan's well-being. The cold and well-shot moments in the Arctic raise some moral dilemmas, and Frankenstein's John Clare concludes some of the morality in a disturbing scene. The Arctic is a nod to Mary Shelley and other past Frankenstein renditions. John Clare, played by Rory Kinnear, was never a particular favourite of mine, but his inclusion into the seasons is one of necessity, and Penny Dreadful wouldn't be the same without him. Rory Kinnear does a good job at portraying the creature's humanity, but not so great at the horror. Then this might be intentional, and if so, it works well. Timothy Dalton is another well-cast character, Sir Malcolm Murray. He has a similar feeling to his character as that of Sean Connery in many of his roles over the years, in particular Alan Quatermain. Very likeable and believable. We briefly go back to Ethan and find out he is being taken to his father. I believe his father is being played by Brian Cox in future episodes, and that is definitely one character to look forward to. It is worth mentioning at this time that the two immortals Dorian Gray and Lily, played by Reeve Carney and Billy Piper, are not in this first episode, but as the trailers and Victor's narrative suggest, they will have prominent parts to play moving forward. The remainder of the episode is spent back in London, with various scenes split between Vanessa, Dr. Frankenstein and several new additions to the story. We, the viewers, and another new character, Dr. Henry Jekyll, played by Shazad Latif, visit Victor Frankenstein, played by Harry Treadaway. The two doctors are shown as being long-time friends, and this choice of association is very welcome for me and will make for good future episodes, I'm sure. Overall, this scene left me elated because Dr. Jekyll, and of course Mr. Hyde, was always one of my favourite Victorian horror stories of dual personality and self-control. At this stage, Mr. Hyde is hinted at by Dr. Jekyll, explaining that he is keeping his inner demons at bay, and then suggests to Victor that something similar could be done for Lily, his third creation. Harry Treadaway does a good job with the role of Victor, portraying both his brilliance and weaknesses well, both visually and orally. At first I wasn't sure about this choice for Victor, but his vulnerability written into the character needed someone like Harry, and his narcotics addiction similarly required an actor with that flexibility. Eva meets her new counsellor, who happens to be related to the witch who taught her in Devonshire under the family name Clayton. Both the tutor witch, Joan Clayton, and the new therapist, Dr. Seward, are played by Patti Lupon. Patti shows her skill in playing strong characters, with the wickedly blunt but overall caring witch from the second season, followed by another blunt but superbly intelligent role akin to Sherlock Holmes himself, with her deductions of personality and situations. The initial consultation between the Doctor and Vanessa is sown with anxiety. It is well acted by both. Another character is introduced before Eva meets the Doctor, and that is the Secretary Renfield, played by Samuel Barnett, and his importance becomes apparent at the end of the episode. Miss Ives spends the rest of the episode improving her well-being by visiting a museum and meeting another new addition in the form of a zoologist, Dr. Alan Sweet, played by Christian Camargo. The friendly zoologist seemingly reminds Vanessa of the wonders of life with the same kind of excitable enthusiasm found in children. We should see if that relationship evolves like it appears it may. Before the museum visit, Vanessa is stopped by a very pale boy, most obviously a vampire of sorts, and the same boy is seen right at the end of the episode, where Renfield is taken and placed in front of the most famous vampire of them all, Dracula. What an end to a superb first episode. Penny Dreadful just seems to improve with each episode, and now the inclusion of even more classic horror characters, I simply can't wait for the next one, and wish I didn't have to. Great viewing.